So THI, as you know, is a global organization that unites Hellenes and Phil-Hellenes from around the world into a collective force of champions for Greece, its people, its principles, and its promise. That is the concept. A lot of the people here are members and international members. We have our board chair of the THI Australia, George Kailis. Are you here? George, there he is. George Kailis is here. Thank you for being here, George. Oh, and I think Stegs is here, the CEO of THI Australia here. Stegs, where are you? Raise your hand. There she is over there. We have the THI board president of Canada. I don't know if John Sotos is here, and his team is here as well. THI UK, our managing director, Vasiliki Kotouki, is here. So we're gathering from around the world, our members from around the world. We're coming annually to Athens to be with all of you, many of whom are here from Athens. But that's what we do once a year. What we do every day of the year are the people you see up here, do the wonderful work of THI. I want to introduce them to you briefly so you get to know them. They're ambassadors for our organization. They're better ambassadors than the people here. Please come, engage them throughout the evening. They're much closer in age to you than I am. Maybe not Michael. Michael, you're closer than I am. I'm sorry. So starting with Michael, our Greece country director and director of programs, Michael Printzos. Michael, thank you. Our deputy director of programs, Vlasis Apatas. We've got our director of social media, Tanya. I always mispronounce your last name, Misigoti. All right. Our director of operations, Christina Maroulis. We've got our director of strategy, Valentini Gonu. We've got our director of digital design, Sani Kuvelli, and our director of events, Ivana Pliako. These are the people who do the magic of THI every day. Let's give them a round of applause. And you've seen this week their amazing work. We had the careers fair at the Athens College in Greece that Michael and Vlasi put together, programming on stage, talking about the focus of THI and helping create jobs in Athens and around Greece. You saw these amazing events, the candlelight dinner on the rooftop of the Acropolis Museum last night, all the other events throughout the week. That's our director of events, Ivana Pliakos, including this event. And each of these events, I should also say, all the communications and the logistics is our director of operations, who's based out of Brazil, so it's wonderful to have her here with us tonight. But then there's the content that is collected, and that is our director of digital design, Sani, our director of social media, Tanya. So they capture, as I was talking earlier, so beautifully the emotion of the event, what goes on there. And then there's the big picture, the strategy, Valentini. One of her pet projects, as we'll talk about in a minute, is the New Leaders. We totally revamped the New Leaders program, given it more substance and opportunity for you all to begin your philanthropic journey. So I am going to stop talking, other than saying the following. We had a board meeting of our international board, got together every year in January. And we had hours and hours of meetings. And as we walked out, we said to the board, what's the #1 priority for THI in the year and the years ahead? And the answer was simple, it was emphatic, it was unanimous, it was our New Leaders program. That is the future of Hellenism, that is the future of THI. So know that we all at THI are committed to double down and do more to help grow this new leader community across the world. I said last night with the Prime Minister there that I believe, and I've seen it firsthand, that THI is able to touch that 40 and under Hellenes all around the world who are second, third, fourth generation, 100%, half, 1/4 Greek, touch them and meet them where they are in a unique way that a lot of the traditional Greek organizations are not. So we see you, we want to do more with you, and tonight's a perfect example of that. So let me excuse my very uncomfortable staff being up front, but then we go back and let me introduce our rock star. Let's give him another round of applause, please. So one of the ways we tried to reform the New Leaders program is give you all an opportunity to convene. Our events sell out all around the country, all around the world. But let's have someone come and talk and inspire you. We had an event in Los Angeles on the rooftop with 2 remarkable members of THI who spoke to the new leaders there. You get a chance to meet them. Well, tonight we've got a rock star from here in Athens. I could introduce him as a brand strategist from South Africa, who's lived all around the world, Hong Kong, Mexico City, New York. I can introduce him as someone who has represented some of the largest and most iconic brands all around the world. Coca-Cola, Heineken, Levi's, Nestle, Audi, and of course, Apple. Remember in the 1980s, the Think Different of the Apple that was changing the world? His fingerprints were all over it. That was Peter Economides in the early. We bond over our charity work. I've dedicated 27 years of my life to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Peter also, in his spare time, was not just volunteering for Make-A-Wish, but was chair of Make-A-Wish International. So that gives you another sense for the kind of individual he is. But all of those things I mentioned are remarkable, but in my mind, Peter is the following. He is the embodiment of humanity. Y'all remember during the crisis when Greece needed inspiration, there's now a viral video out there. I'm gonna censor my remarks a little bit because he said the most popular word in Greek is a curse word. I won't say it over the microphone in front of the video. And he said the second most popular word is daginete. And he said sometimes they're combined. Daginete, most popular word. But that to me is what Peter is. He's this brand strategist who is devoting his heart and soul to Greece and the future of Greece. And you all here are the future of Greece. There's no one who believes in the future of Greece more than this gentleman. He's a visionary. He's a gift to Greece, to Hellenism. Please welcome Peter Economides.
Mike, thank you so much for that overwhelming introduction. What can I say? It's really quite phenomenal. By the way, the word that you didn't want to say was malaka. Because what we say is, malaka. Back in the early 90s, I did a campaign for Greek tourism, where what I said was that the gods could have chosen any place on earth. They chose Greece, chosen by the gods. And one of the ads was that building up there. And I found this photograph which had clouds above the Parthenon with just some sunlight breaking through the clouds, lighting it up like a spotlight. And what I said was, thank God she left the lights on. And I was talking about the goddess, ATHINA. So being here in this incredible setting really, really just brings all of those memories back. But that's true about Greece. It's a remarkable country. Somebody said to me earlier, Panos, where is it? Panos said to me, you've lived everywhere around the world, but you're now living in Greece. Which is the best place you've ever lived in? I said, where do you think? What do you think I'm doing here? I love this place, I really do. My favorite expression, quote, is something which is attributed to, I can't remember his name, but what he says is the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I think that is so, so true. And I'm reminded here about my family, frankly. On my mother's side, my grandparents came from the island of Imbros. They left in 1923. They got onto a boat and they went to the southern tip of Africa. Not a penny in their pockets, no idea what the weather was like, no idea what they were going to meet down there. And a couple of years later, I got my grandfather, a photograph of my grandfather, standing in front of his first business in South Africa. He managed to build a business in a couple of years. It was a grocery store, and he called it the Australian. And I often think, well, maybe he thought he was in Australia. Or maybe that's where he wanted to be. My father's a very similar story. He came from a very poor family. They were economic refugees from Larissa. He landed up being one of the largest heavy industry manufacturers in South Africa with a company that he created. And I've met so many stories like that around the world. The Greek diaspora is phenomenal. No matter where you go, Melbourne, New York, anywhere on this planet, the Greeks have achieved great, great things. It's amazing. And that reminds me of my favorite phrase. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Que γίνεται en Malacca. Forgive me, I need to use it. Very quickly, a couple of words about me. So I grew up in South Africa, a third generation Greek. My Greek was really bad. I once είχα παραγγείλει μια σαλάτα με πατζούρια και ευτυχώς δεν είχανε. I went to university in Cape Town, and as soon as I graduated, I'd made my mind up. I wanted to be a big deal on Madison Avenue. It was as simple as that. That's what I want. And I spoke to my father about that because he wanted me to take over his business. And I said, Dad, I don't want to work with you. I want to be a big deal on Madison Avenue. He said, where the hell is that? So I explained it to him, and he looked at me with a huge smile on his face. And he said, go and show them who we are. And that, to me, I think, is exactly what Greeks need to do, is to show the world who we are, all of us together. And that, I think, is the magic that THI brings to the table. I think there's been a massive mindset shift in this country. I think the time is so right. And I just want to run through some of the history that has taken us to this moment and let you know why I think it's such a significant moment and why I think THI has got such an important role to play. We've gone through some difficult years. When I moved back to Greece, a long time ago, it feels like yesterday actually, but it was like 25 years ago, I moved back, and very soon thereafter we had the 2004 Olympic Games, which was remarkable in this city, a totally remarkable event. And I remember we had the world's best broadcasting center. It was at the time the most advanced broadcasting center in the world. Soon after the Olympic Games, we converted that into a shopping mall. And I said to myself, wow, we've just spent all this money, we've just dedicated so much of ourselves to building 2004, and we turned it into a shopping mall. Couldn't believe it. Of course, those years were difficult years. I remember some of the press that appeared. I remember one particular German magazine that had a headline on the cover that said fraudsters in the European Union. That's the way that Europe looked at us, which is remarkable because a few years before that, the French Prime Minister had said, Europe without Greece is like a child without a birth certificate. And I think he's absolutely right. Absolutely right. In 2012, I was invited to give a talk, 2011, I was invited to give a talk up in Thessaloniki about rebranding Greece. And what I said during that talk was, rebranding Greece is about rebranding Greeks. If we don't feel good about Greece, we're not going to be able to do anything. And I said Greece is one of the greatest brands that's never been branded. I think I was right. A couple of months ago, I gave the rather famous γίνεται speech, where I used that dirty word. And the crisis, we were deep in crisis at that time. We were deep in crisis. But fortunately, and I was very happy about the fact that my γίνεται speech in particular went viral. A lot of people saw it. And I was very, very pleased about that. A couple of years later, the Dutch embassy, situated just up here in that big building up there, that white building next to it, I got a call from the ambassador one day, and he asked me to go and meet with him in his office. And I went to meet with him, And he told me that he wanted to do something to mend the relationship between Northern Europe and Greece. And I said, well, what are you thinking? And he told me about his idea to establish a startup incubator inside the embassy, which I thought was just phenomenal. He asked me to do the branding. I called it the Orange Grove, because you might know that the Netherlands is associated with the color orange. A grove is where orange trees grow. And I called it Vitamin C for startups. And within the Dutch embassy, Greek startups passed through, assisted, by the way, by some brilliant minds that were flown in from all over the world to help them, to mentor them, to assist them. And of course, companies to finance them. And the results were phenomenal. The results were truly phenomenal. In 2017, I made a statement that Greece can and should be the west coast of Europe. And I had a lot of reason for saying that. Number one is our history. I mean, who's got that behind them? Who's got that behind them? Number two is our weather. People like to live in places where the weather is good, just like they like California for the good weather on the west coast of the US. We're a smart people, and proof of that, I guess, is what I was talking about earlier, with the diaspora doing so incredibly well. Of course we can do it. So I made the statement, Greece can and should be the west coast of Europe. Nick Malkoutsis, editor of Kathimerini, picked it up, and he said, that's a crazy idea, but it's just about crazy enough to succeed. And I really do believe it. This should be the west coast of Europe. And I think it's happening. And let me give you some evidence of that. I started doing some work for an organization called Junior Achievement. Junior Achievement helps student startups at universities and at schools. They establish startups which are run by young students. And the whole idea is to really cultivate a culture, a spirit of entrepreneurship, but to also have them learn about what it is to start up a business. A couple of years ago, from a school called the Experimental High School of the University of Macedonia in Thessaloniki, there was a startup called Isometrics, which did an incredible digitally printed toy for old people with dementia to help them exercise their minds. That startup, which I'm proud to say I mentored and I coached, went on to win the first prize in Europe as the best European startup, but it went on to get the best global startup, which was remarkable. A bunch of young kids from Thessaloniki, and I'm talking about 16, 17 years old. Quite remarkable. That was back in 2024. 2026, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, another startup called Enalion from the same school, ironically, won second prize in Europe. Again, I'm very proud to say that I mentored and coached them as well. So we've had two hugely successful startups. You know, I remember 20 years ago, if you said to a young kid in Greece, what do you want to be when you grow up? The answer would be, Dimosio. I'd like a job in the Dimosio. You heard that all the time. You're not hearing that anymore. You're hearing about crazy dreams. Or you're hearing about going to live somewhere else. But you're talking about achieving stuff on a personal level. I believe there's been a radical mindset shift. And now is the time to really push that. It's time to take these brilliant people doing amazing things and create examples out of them. And I can't think of a better way to do that than to get the entire Greek world united behind doing it. Not just to help them, but to inspire them to get it done. Because when we get together as the planet of Greeks, we can do anything. And the diaspora has been proving that for years. We can do anything. Moving forward, I think we need to identify these trailblazers. For example, the young kids that I just mentioned. We need to support what they need to succeed, but more than anything, we need to inspire them. And not just from the 10 million Greeks here in Greece, but from the 20 million around the world. That's where our real power lies. And that's how I think we can become the West Coast of Europe. And if we can move towards that, every Greek who has left this country to go and work abroad will want to be back here. Because there is no place like Greece at the end of the day. Fabulous to be here. Fabulous to get this opportunity of speaking to you. And I want to thank my good friend Mike for inviting me. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Peter, thank you. Thank you all again for being here tonight to support the work of THI. Enjoy the rest of the evening.